On today's episode of MR Triton, what would I change about the MR Triton GLX? So on today's episode of MR Triton, we're going to talk a little bit about the GLX MR Triton. Now this might be relevant to the higher spec Tritons, but I'm specifically talking about GLX. You're in the market for your base model trader ute, your farm ute, or just your off-road weekend beater like I bought mine for. So in terms of the price point, the MR Triton GLX is a fantastic value for money proposition. You've got yourself a very capable off-road vehicle from the factory, as discussed in all my other videos, but it's not perfect. And I don't want you guys to get me wrong thinking that I think this vehicle is everything, because it's certainly not. Let's take a look. So firstly, there are some things that are not perfect, that seem a little bit strange when you first buy your Triton. Anybody who's popped the bonnet on their Triton, no matter what model, GLS or GLX, is going to have noticed this monstrosity. What the heck is that? It looks like someone stuck a baked potato to your turbo and is trying to cook it. Now, it's functional, and that's testament to the Triton. The Triton is a functional, capable vehicle. It does what you want it to do. And this is just a heat shield over a sensor. It does what you want it to do. But surely there's a more attractive way of protecting this wiring slash sensor than wrapping it up in what appears to be fiberglass and alfoil. I picture this in 10 years time, because for me this is a 5 to 10 year vehicle. What is that going to look like? Is it going to perish? Is it going to deteriorate over time? Am I going to end up cooking my sensor there? These are the questions that I ask when I see these things on my car. Now another thing is, and I don't know if you've seen this isn't specific to the GLX either, but I don't know whether you've seen your, what is it, clutch reservoir here? This cap comes straight off. There's no screw for this. Have a look. Having a look at this here, like, it just comes straight off. There's no screw, there's no way of fastening it down. It just comes on and off. You can't, it doesn't screw on at all. Have a look at this bend here on the heat shield near my DPF, right? I was feeding a wire through here to install my air compressor. I knocked this cap off with my forearm. I wasn't even pushing hard. It fell down right underneath on some kind of bash plate situation down there. How do I know that when I'm going through a highly corrugated gravel road that that's not just gonna come off? I'm sure there's older models of Triton that have had that. Maybe they haven't had issues with it. But how hard is it to just thread some plastic and make it a little bit tighter so it stays on better? It's risky, very risky. What if that's come off through some kind of driving? You're on the highway and suddenly you've got no clutch. You're going to be in a lot of trouble trying to get home. It amazes me also that in this day and age, there's no way to reliably rust protect a turbo. My wife's Golf GTI has that as well. Now obviously turbos, they heat up a lot, they cool a lot. It's a metallurgy thing. It's something that's hard to overcome. But my turbo is rusty as. Now, fully recognizing that this is just surface rust, what is that going to look like in 5 to 10 years? You know, these bolts here, am I ever going to be able to undo them? Look at this corrosion here. I've heard a lot of information about some of the hoses on the engine as well. So my cousin blew an intercooler hose while he was thrashing his GLX Triton down in Galway Beach. The hose is split, blew up, replaced under warranty, but still, what if that happened in the outback? It's a brand new car with all of maybe 20 to 50,000 Ks on the clock, and the hose just blew up. Does anyone else have this? Now, recognizing that when we take vehicles off-road, suspension components will get a little bit rusty, they'll get a little bit of grit and dirt in them and that sort of stuff. It's a very annoying squeak. It's a very commonly known squeak. Probably a bit of grit or something dry in the bushes or something like that. It's just the suspension needs a bit of grease on it or something like that. And I'm not too fussed. I'm going to be replacing it with some aftermarket springs when I do a lift kit not too far in the future. But that noise started the first time I took this car off-road. The USB port in the dash of the vehicle. The power output is very, very bad. I've had Google Maps running on my phone with a charger plugged in my phone from the USB port, and the battery's still going down. It might as well have not been plugged in. I'm not sure what the voltage output of that USB port is, not tested it, but it would be very interesting to see what it was if I was to give it a go and see what's coming out of it, because it doesn't seem to do a very good job of charging devices. I don't have CarPlay with this vehicle. Everything's connected via Bluetooth. For me, that output is just a charging mechanism, and it's absolutely atrocious. Even the Dometic Raps 44 was able to punch out more power to charge my phone while it was running the fridge as well. So I find it strange that the power output of that USB port is so low for a vehicle that was made in 2019. Now, the saying you get what you pay for is probably most applicable to vehicles. If you buy a top spec vehicle, you get great paint. If you buy a bottom tier, bottom spec vehicle, you get thin paint, a bit like this. I'm not sure if any of you guys have noticed this either. It's a low spec vehicle. You can resolve this issue by buying new globes. But these headlight globes are really, really bad. Really bad. I'm going to change them in a few weeks and I'll do a video about that as well. But if you've got a GLX Triton, surely you've seen as well that the headlight globes are extremely dim. Terribly dim. Now, I get it. We buy these vehicles because it's a value proposition. I'm not expecting the same things as I would get if I bought a top spec Ranger or Hilux. It's a base model work spec vehicle, and that's truthfully why I bought this vehicle, because I wanted something that I wasn't scared to scratch. I wanted something that I could buy for $30,990, drive away, which is what I got this car for, and not be too concerned about scratching it up. I bought this car brand new for less than what my wife's 3-year-old Golf GTI was worth at the same time that I bought this car. But let me just disclaim something for you here. Despite all of the flaws that this vehicle has, being a base model, thin painted, potato turbo cooking, rusted, dim headlighted masterpiece, it's got so much that is amazing, that I love. I bought this vehicle to bash it up, to abuse it, to take me to these great places all over Australia, and so far it's taken me everywhere I've wanted to go. It's a fantastic vehicle, as long as you don't mind not being able to see in the dark and having a flat phone all the time. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you get a bit of a laugh out of it, and I hope you can go, yeah, we love these cars for what they are, because that's what we do. Us Triton owners, we love these cars for what they are. Brilliant cars. Make sure you leave a subscribe, make sure you leave a like, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Also, please do feel free to drop in the comment section anything else that you've noticed with your Triton annoys you, or you wish it had more or less of. And if you've got anything that you'd like me to talk about or review or look into as well. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And my least favorite thing about living in suburbia and trying to make YouTube videos is that you don't realize how loud the world is until you start making YouTube videos. I'm not stressed out. I'm not stressed out about this.